Hey everybody, it's Stephanie. Let's talk stitching. I hope you're having a great summer / winter, depending on where you live. I am having a wonderful summer, although it has been a mixed bag. We've definitely passed through some trials as a family, and parts of it have been rough, but I've gotten a lot of stitching done, so that's great. I have a lot to show you today. I've kind of been dreading this video, number one, because I knew I would have to make a huge mess to make it. And number two, the closed captioning is going to take a long time. So let's get started. I have three finishes. I have 2 WIPS and a tiny bit of haul to share with you. Let's start off with my lust list. I would like to collect these projects from Flosstubers that I am in love with. The first one is Vintage Chic Stitcher's Psalm 100 piece. If you're not subscribed to Vintage Chic Stitcher, which is really hard to say, you need to be, because she is my Patronus. I love her Psalm 100 piece that she just finished. It is gorgeous. It would look great in this room. The second one is Pyrex Stitcher's Battle of Hastings from the Bayou Tapestry, which I love that project. It's speechless. She's gonna give it to her husband though, so huge disappointment. I finished all my WIPS this month. I think it was a reaction to Stitch Mania. I loved all the projects, I loved all the videos. I didn't do Stitch Mania, but I started getting this gnawing feeling. I wanted to start something, and I'm not a person that just starts something because I want to. I have my own set of neuroses that I have to deal with. So I really wanted to start something, and that desire to start something was making me look at my current projects as obstacles to doing what I really wanted to do, which was start something. So I just told myself no and said, you have picked these projects because they're beautiful and you wanted to do them. Remember when you were so excited to start them? Let's finish them. So I literally finished all my WIPS, except for my full coverage piece, which is in the naughty corner, and I don't really care about it anymore. I finished all my WIPS, so I'll just show you my finishes. Only one is an FFO, but you know, whatever. My first finish was for my son, and it was Dork Stitches, Come to the Dark Side, We Have Cookies. This was such a fun car project. It's really a simple pattern. It's, you know, it's like nothing complex. So this got a few road trips and it was done. I love this, and I love that my son loves this. He thinks this is the bomb, and that just makes me love him all the more. I gave this to him. He was so excited. We set it up on his dresser, and I kept finding it in random spots. Like, he was taking it to bed with him, so I would be up there making his bed, and like, hello, okay. And we went to pack for vacation, and he wanted to put this in a suitcase. Be still, my heart. My second finish is Going to Market by Julia Cairns. It is a Full Dimensions kit. I kind of felt like I had this project in my WIP pile for a long time, but thinking back, I think I really went to town on it on our spring break. So in reality, it's only been maybe 3 months, and it's done. I took a little finish video, which I will insert now. Here's Going to Market. Yay! I am very pleased with how this turned out. I thought the back stitching would take me forever and be a big pain, but it went really quickly and it was so much fun. There's a lot of French knots in the dress, and those were fun too. I have nothing good but good to say for this project. It's beautiful, it's relatively quick, and you really don't see a lot of multicultural patterns as far as Africa is concerned, and that makes me sad. But this is pretty easy to find, and of course it's gorgeous. I highly recommend it. It is 14 count Aida, but I think the colors meld together so well, especially in the background. The only part of this project that I wasn't crazy about was the background. It was not really fun to do, but it's gorgeous, and so I'm glad that I got through it. And that's a wrap. I forgot to mention in that video, I was talking about putting an Audi belly button on the little boy, and I tried a few times and it looked like a goiter or some other form of bodily growth, so that didn't happen. My third finish, and by far the most exciting, is my Brookes Books Advent Animals. I'm done with these. I can't believe it. I'm way ahead of my schedule that I made for myself. I'm really weird. Like, I make a schedule for myself and then I feel the need to overachieve on the schedule that I made for myself. Is anyone else neurotic like me? Like, that makes no sense. I made the schedule for myself and then I feel the need to work faster than the schedule because then I'll be the best student in the class. I don't know. I made a finishing video. I will insert it here. So here's a nice bird's eye view of my Brookes Books Advent Animals project. Huge thank you to Brooke Nolan for putting these fun animals out into the world for free, just for our stitching pleasure, because I had a blast. I get contacted about this project about once a week, and I am not exaggerating. I get direct messaged about the stitch count or the fabric or any other number of questions, quite a bit. So I thought I would go through the details that you might be curious about. I'll also put the numbers down below so you can check those out. I also have finished pictures of all the blocks in detail on my Instagram at Lindy Stitches if you're interested in one animal or the other. So I stitched this project on 14 count Aida, regular old 14 count Aida that I dyed myself using Rit Aquamarine dye. The dyeing process, it was the first time for me, and it was very simple, no color mixing or anything. It's just pull it out when you get the depth of color you want, and I think this color suits the color palette really well. I think the 14/28 count is pretty important. These designs are meant to go on 28 count, and the details are what makes them cute. So the back stitching brings these to life, and there are different strands of back stitching for different details. And so if you do it on too small of a count, you're not going to be able to get that double back stitch line. For example, Colin Cardinal, you know, that is a thick back stitch line, whereas Hattie Hedgehog's quills are a one back stitch line. So it just brings more depth to the designs. So I wouldn't go lower than a 16 count. because you're gonna be struggling a little bit with the backstitch details. These were so much fun. My kids loved watching me stitch these, and each one definitely feels like a finish. I get a lot of questions about how long they take. I think I'm a pretty average stitcher. I'm not super fast. I'd say they take me an average of 8 hours, maybe. 3 or 4 stitching sessions. So they're pretty quick, and they're very enjoyable. The only changes I made are that this is supposed to be a rabbit, and I charted our family's hamster to stick in there. I talked about that in my last video, and if you'd like the pattern for that, you can message me and I can send you the link just for the little hamster insert. I did that with Brooke's permission. And I also added 1 strand of some sparkly Krennic, and I don't know that you'll be able to see it, but all the snow flakes, I didn't do the snow on the bottom with Krennic, but all the snowflakes have 1 strand of Krennic in them, which gives it a little bit of bling, and I kind of wish I would have maybe picked a little bit more of a sparkly product to put in the snow, but they look really, these blocks look great. I can't wait to finish this up into a wall hanging and have it on the wall. I know my kids are going to enjoy it, and yeah, it'll be a family heirloom. Okay, so because I finished all my WIPS, I did 3 new starts. The first one is not exciting because it's what I just showed you. Come to the dark side, we have cookies. I have another group of little boys who I love very much who would enjoy this pattern, so I'm restitching it. I do not recommend restitching the same pattern back to back. It is a lot harder than you think. The car projects I think can be boring. I can deal with boring types of stitching much better in the car. I don't know what it is, but so it hasn't been that bad. I'm almost done with it. It'll be a great gift. The second start I made was surprising because it's a big project and I really wasn't even thinking about doing it, and then I was buying it and starting it. It's a bandwagon piece. You see it all the time. It's surprising to me because bandwagon pieces really give me overexposure. When I see pieces a lot, it kind of lessens my temptation to stitch them myself. I don't know, I can feel that way about my own designs. If I've spent 40+ hours on the computer looking at them, it can be really hard to sit down and stitch them, and so the stitch alongs and stuff are really cute, and I like looking at the pictures, but I can't do them myself. Like, looking at them every day is enough for me. I look at this every day, but I'm still doing it. It's giant Harry Potter. You guys know I love Harry Potter, and Go Ravenclaw. I'm stitching this on 32 count antique, no, not antique. I stitch on antique white so often that it just like comes out of my mouth. Light blue Lugana by Witchell. And this is how far I am. I knocked out those banners. I've heard so much complaining about the banners, and they are tedious and boring, and they do take a long time. And when I know something is going to be tedious, I want to get it over as quickly as possible, so I got them done. Blue Bottle Stitches was so sweet. She gave me her Petite Treasure braid recommendations for the banners, and I love Petite Treasure braid. Is really lovely to stitch with. Like, compared to Krennic, like, I feel like there is no comparison. It's really smooth and nice and super sparkly. I'm really excited about this project. After I finished the Brooks books, Advent Animals, I realized, you know, I really want to stitch something for my kids. Like, always have a WIP for my kids, because I like stitching for them. I like giving them gifts. And I like when they're interested in my projects. It's just like something to talk about and share while I'm doing it, and it's been fun. We've been listening to Harry Potter together in the evenings as a family, like old world radio style. sitting around in the living room. It's fun. Third new project is my Song of Solomon ship sampler, which looks like this. I've talked before that there is a Facebook group devoted to this piece, and looking through the finishes is so much fun. It's charted for the original pattern, these colors, but it's really encouraged that you just do your own colors, come up with your own color scheme. So it's really neat to look through different color choices that people have made. So I made my own color choices, and I am happy with my color palette. It is earthy tones with some jewel tones, so oranges and olives and greens with some pops of color. And I have 3 variegated flosses by Mo Sale that I'm using. This project, I'm overthinking it. This is supposed to be, I mean, it's chaotic and it's very full. It's like a scrap quilt, right? It's a scrap quilt. You use your scraps. In fact, I'm using a couple flosses that are from when I was really young, probably middle school age. And I did really genius things like this. That's labeled 000. I don't even know. There's another one in here. It's labeled 51-C. What? I don't even know. But I'm getting rid of some like weird things in this project. Scrap quilt, right? And if you look at it, if you really like analyze it, it's random. Like, why is that pink there? It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you hyper-analyze it, like a scrap quilt, it's kind of like, is that ugly or not? I don't know. But it comes together and makes this awesome thing. I have a hard time with that concept. You know, when I'm designing, like if colors aren't doing what I want them to do, then I just change it within 30 seconds. This is a little more involved. I get a little obsessive about how colors work when they're next to each other, how they pop off the fabric. I spend like, I can be in bed, ready to go to sleep, and I have this compulsion to come out and stare at this under the hot lamp. It's that bad. But here's how far I am. I think it's looking great. It's just the process, it's just trusting the process that's hard for me. I know that like the level of attention I'm giving this border is too much because this whole thing is going to be filled up with motifs and colors, and it's all going to make sense in the end. It's just starting it and not hyper analyzing every color, because if I make it look too perfect, it's not going to have this wonderful chaos. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I don't know. I love how it looks. It's just, I overthink it. I'm enjoying myself. I just need to stop staring at it obsessively. Those are my WIPS. Excited about all those projects. Future plans. I have a Lindy Stitches Christmas pattern that I'm pumped to start. I am almost done with it, and I'm going to stitch it up, and it's going to have some bling. Which brings me to my haul. My only haul item for this whole video is where? Here it is. Kelly from Evergreen Needle put me onto this. You know, my whole Krennic fiasco of trying to pick a Krennic. I know what I want, but the swatches are terrible. She put me onto this Petite Treasure Braid color swatch book. And I know I'm going to use this a ton. I got this from a kind of obscure website. I will link it down below. I think it was only $12. But you can see they give you a good swatch of each color. So like, no more guesswork. And I like Petite Treasure Braid more than Krennic anyway. No guesswork. Like, I knew what I wanted for Darth Come to the Dark Side. I wanted this. Like, and if I had this color swatch, it would have been like, no staring at color swatches on the internet and hoping they're true to life. It would have been like, oh, I'm just ordering this. Super useful. If you work with metallics and you find yourself frustrated and wasting money when you get it in the mail and you don't even like it, pick yourself up one of these and do yourself a favor. Okay, so future projects. I have 3 things kitted up and ready to go that I really want to start soon. The first is a kit shipped to me by a lovely, generous lady in England. So thankful. This is so beautiful. It is another Julia Cairns piece. Multicultural patterns are hard to find, and especially African patterns. Like, there practically is none. There's like 5, maybe 10. Like, honestly, try Googling it. It's just not out there, especially when it comes to Africa. And so this is a treasure to me, and I can't wait to stitch it. The only thing that's held me back from starting it is the yellow on yellow amorphous background. I know it's going to be a challenge. I mean, not an unconquerable challenge, but I need a break from the from that type of stitching. But I'm excited to do this soon. Pet peeve, side note. It really bothers me when there are patterns that are like the world, the nations, you know, they're trying to like show a representative of each culture, you know, so there'll be a Scottish person and a Japanese character, you know, there's lots of patterns out there like that, you know, it's supposed to represent the world, and they can be kid patterns and adult patterns, there's lots of them out there. It really bothers me when there is not a black person. I'm just putting that out there. It really bothers me when there is not a black person. I don't get it. Okay, I'm getting off my soapbox now. Okay, the second project that I have kitted up is Han Solo and Chewie. This was last summer's Stiachalong pattern. I got it during their Amnesty Day. They do an Amnesty Day when you can, for a limited time, get their past stitch-along patterns, and this is only a 4x6, and look how cute it is. The last thing I kitted up is this monster, and a forest screw by Rosewood Manor. Look, if you like this pattern, do not hashtag and a forest screw on Instagram. You will lose all self-control. It is gorgeous. I really want to do this. The stitch count is 420 by 200. It's really big. Too much stitching and not enough time. Thank you so much for all your sweet comments on my Pride and Prejudice release video. Every time I put out a video, this is what happens. I publish it, and then within 24 hours, I've read a lot of sweet comments, and I walk around in a daze, and I end up saying to my husband, why are people so nice? Because you're so sweet, and I don't know why it's shocking. It's just, I don't know. I'm overwhelmed by just the generosity of spirit here on YouTube and on Instagram. So let's keep stitching, let's keep encouraging one another. I am on Instagram at Lindy Stitches. My store is at lindystitches.com. Stay tuned for the cat reel. Happy stitching, everybody. Bye.